Nancy, don't mute yourself, okay? Just behave.
Hi, everyone. I have Rose, Jill, Nancy, and Jordan from Travel Nurse Across America joining us for a live Q&A. So be sure to ask those questions in the comments. That's a perfect sign. They're going to be discussing the vaccine, COVID, pay rates, choosing the right recruiter. We haven't had them on in a while, not since 2020, which that's gone. So, but yeah, they have tons and tons of information, a lot of new things going on. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to them so they can get started and ask those questions, guys, because they're going to answer them. So there you guys go.
Hey, Rachel. Thank you, Rachel. Jill, I start them all the same way. Hopefully they never show these in a loop because I always say, gosh, we've done this now that many times. So we're really excited. We'd love to partner with Gypsy. We think this community is extremely important to the travel nurse community and also all the other health professionals who travel or who think about traveling or just want to hear from their peers. We love this group. So we are always very eager to support them with what we know. I've got a dynamite panel for you today. I got a little bit of everything. I got salt, sugar, spice, acid. I got all the flavors today. So this is a fun group. I have, and I'll have them do their introduction. But I've got Jill Eliason, our Vice President of Clinical Service, the Nurse Whisperer, our genius, our resident genius and expert. She's like she's like the Anthony Fauci of Travel Nurse Across America. Yes. Jill really helps us, and she's been helping us in the 7 years I've been here, but really helping us understand how to advocate for our nurses, how to understand what nurses are looking for, how to set up nurses for success, and how to make sure that patient care is number one when it comes to what it is that we do at Travel Nurse Across America. So thank you for joining, Jill. I have Nancy Thibodeau. Oh boy. Nancy has an extraordinary resume. Nancy's one of our senior directors of recruitment. Nancy was one of the best travel nursing recruiters I've ever seen, and she's extraordinary at what she does. She takes on a leadership role at Travel Nurse Across America. She trains our new recruiters, and she just has a perspective. I mean, Nancy's recruited nurses. Nancy's sat across from clients. Nancy's trained new people. She's got an incredible background. So Nancy's going to be here to share her expertise and give us some great perspective. So thank you for being with us, Nancy.
Absolutely.
And then we have Jordan Dial. Jordan is... gosh, incredible recruiter. I met Jordan and it was like recruitment love at first sight. From the first conversation, I just knew that Jordan and I had to work together. So with, Jordan, how long have we been together? Has it been 4 years going on?
Yeah, we're right around that. It'll be 4 years, I think, in September or October.
Yeah,
so
yeah. We're entering our fourth year together. Jordan is, anyone who follows social media and Googles a great travel nurse recruiter, you're going to find Jordan Dial at the top of the list. He's incredible at what he does. And he's worked consistently and tirelessly through this entire pandemic to support his nurses. And to make sure that we got the best nurses to where they needed to be. So we always start out with just a moment of just honoring where we are as a country. This week we passed over 500,000 deaths due to COVID. We know that healthcare professionals have been impacted by this with some of them have given their lives. Many of them have given their heart and soul, have worked so hard. So we just want to take a minute, or not even a minute in Gypsy Live language is probably a good 5 seconds given the time we have to deal with. Just really say thank you. And we appreciate everything that you've put into your profession and the bravery that you've shown to the country and just the care that you've given to so many souls at the bedside. So we thank you for that. All right. I'm Rose Fulton. I have been, I'm the Senior Vice President of Recruitment over at Travel Nurse Across America. I work with this incredibly esteemed group, and I am sort of the Oprah Winfrey.
Yes, you are.
I'm kind of the, right, Jill? I'm kind of the Oprah Winfrey of these things, I guess. So I'm here to keep the conversation going, to make sure that we get your questions answered. Rachel and the Gypsy community gave us a list ahead of time, but I also know I've got people out there in viewer land who may be asking questions. So feel free, let them rip. We'll give $25 gift cards to the first 3 people who get us questions. So if you want to help us get the ball rolling, awesome. For those of you who are not listening in real time, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. So Jill, I'm going to have you start us off and just give us a bit of a state of the union when it comes to what's important for the travel nurse community to know about COVID, vaccines. What are you seeing from your desk?
Yeah, well, we've all been through quite a roller coaster ride in the last 10 to 12 months. So we'll talk the here and now with what we're seeing as trends through the clinical desk here at TNAA. And then obviously what a lot of us are seeing across the news and the things that we keep up with in our local communities. So the good news is that our cases are down 37%. There's a few reasons for that. There are folks that are saying obviously the vaccine is contributing to that immensely. Secondly, people are adhering to the coronavirus ways, the social distancing, the masking, doing what we're supposed to do to help eliminate and alleviate risk of the COVID virus. Change in seasons. I think we're all looking forward to that based on wherever we live. We like to see the change in seasons. We're able to get outdoors more. We're not in closed areas with a lot of folks anymore. And then some are just saying the testing could be less than it used to be or not enough. But I think to bounce to the vaccine, Rose, I did see yesterday, and I'm sure a lot of folks saw yesterday, that Johnson & Johnson was approved for distribution, which is fantastic news for everyone. This vaccine has a little bit of iffy back and forth with it as it comes to efficacy rates. It's not as high as an efficacy rate as our first two vaccines that came out, the Moderna and Pfizer. However, it's a one-shot vaccine. It doesn't have to be stored in a cool temp place, and it's the actual virus, which a lot of folks kind of like compared to the mRNA form that's in the Pfizer and Moderna. So with that being said, over 40 million people in the United States have been vaccinated. That's a big deal.
Wow.
That's with at least just one dose, which already makes you somewhat immune to COVID. So that's all great news. We're seeing that. We're seeing hospitalizations are decreasing. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit here, Rose. There's a lot of variants of COVID. Nobody knows what's going to happen with those, but we're just really watching them close. Science is saying that the vaccinations could very well cover those variants of COVID too. So we've just got to continue to monitor that. What we say to all of our travel nurses and to all the healthcare professionals who travel, watch your community, watch what's going on in your community, understand how the numbers are locally where you're at and for where you may be traveling to next.
Great. Thanks for that, Jill.
Yeah.
Great news. It's weird, right? It's so we've been so buried in bad news that it is like there's light, and we just all have to behave ourselves. So thanks for that, Jill. Great. We've got comments, and we've got two Heathers. We've got Heather. So thank you to Chantel and Heather and Lancy. So I'm going to do this. Lancy, thank you so much for asking your question. Since your question ties into what Jill was talking about, I'm going to take that one first. And then Jordan, get ready. We're going to talk about first-time traveler stuff, okay? So Lancy, I would love to give the COVID vaccine. Do you have positions available where to apply? What are your thoughts on that, Jill, with regards to vaccine clinics and such?
The vaccine clinics are big hits, and the vaccine clinics fill up with nurses like yesterday. You have to be real quick to get a position at the COVID clinics if you want to get the vaccine. Best piece of advice is check locally, see what's going on where you're at currently. We do, as a travel agency, get some positions. They're gone in a day.
Oh gosh,
they're filled in a day. So it's out there, Lancy. You've got to be real quick, and you've got to be ready to jump on those positions when they come open.
Great. Thanks, Jill. Hey, Francis, thanks for helping out Lancy. Indeed. Love it. Yeah, we were all like kind of thinking, oh, we're going to get thousands and thousands of vaccine jobs. And then it was like, boom, they're all filled. So that's great. Thanks for everybody who's administering vaccines.
Yeah.
You bet. Thanks, Lancy. Thanks for joining us. Chantel. Hi, Chantel. I'm thinking about travel nursing. How do I start the process? Jordan, if there was ever a question with your name on it, that's it, man. So what's some advice for Chantel?
Well, thank you so much for the introduction earlier, first of all. And I also wanted to thank all the healthcare professionals that are out there, working on the front lines, and just to know that you're very much appreciated. So we can't say that enough. But Chantel, basically you're starting off on the right foot. You want to do your research. I highly recommend that. There's a lot of great companies out there, and there's a lot of great recruiters. And every company has, a lot of different things that they're looking for in a travel nurse, and the travel nurse or the travel healthcare professional is looking for something in the company. So I highly recommend that you do your research and find out what's important to you. There are going to be some companies that are really high paying and maybe low benefits, and that's great if that's what you're looking for. There are also going to be other companies that are, really benefit heavy. So just do your research. I highly recommend looking online and, reading the reviews about companies that are out there. And then, of course, once you find a company that you are interested in looking for, I highly recommend that you do your research on the recruiter, because the recruiter, no matter what company you're working for, can really sort of make or break your experience. And I think that, the more knowledge you have about what you're looking for whenever you're talking to the recruiter about that, that will really help your overall experience. So just do a little bit of research. There's a lot of great Facebook groups out there, including the Gypsy Nurse, that can give you a lot of insight. But that's sort of my spiel on that.
Great. Gypsy has reviews, right? Check out, Travel Nursing Central is another great review resource. Highway Hypodermics, Blue Pipes, those are ones that get tossed around a lot in travel nurse world. So really look at what the reviews have to say. And then, so hopefully that gives you a sense, Chantel. Usually it starts with an application. So you're going to apply to an agency. You're going to give them some information. They're going to be able to tell if you meet their criteria. And then from there, it's really looking for the recruiter. So Heather Marie, hey, Heather Marie, I'm a Rosemary. First time traveling, excited, scared, overwhelmed. Yes, to all of the above. Pointers. Can I make a list? What should I do first? And how do I find a good company to work for as a travel nurse? So we talked about reviews, Jordan. I'd love for you, Jordan, to talk about what makes a good recruiter. What are the red flags? Like if you're if you're talking to somebody, because a lot of times we have to pick up the freaking pieces because we get nurses who are so confused, maybe got dropped, don't know what's happening, are a little bit disheartened. So Jordan, what's your advice on what do people need to look for in a good recruiter?
Yeah, Rose, that's a really good question. And I've got a few things that I think are important to look for in a recruiter. Of course, again, there's a lot of great recruiters out there. There's a lot of bad recruiters out there. And you have to, again, find somebody that is working with your best interest at heart. And I think that is the number one thing that you're really looking for. And you can tell a lot by that first conversation, based off of their sincerity, their genuineness. If they're listening to you, a lot of recruiters, sometimes I feel like you may think that it's like you're talking to a used car salesman, and that is the worst thing ever. You do not want to be talking to a used car salesman. So the thing that I would look for, if I was a travel nurse and if I was getting ready to start either with a new company, a new recruiter, et cetera, the first thing that I would look for is probably experience. Somebody that has been working in the industry for several years, that's been through the highs, that's been through the lows, that can navigate the travel market at those times, because the travel market is constantly changing. You've got really, really good times in travel nursing, and then unfortunately there's some really tough times in travel nursing. And I think if you have a recruiter that has that experience, that's going to definitely help you navigate those waters a little bit better. So that's one thing. A couple other things is definitely the transparency in a recruiter. Sometimes the recruiter telling you what you don't want to hear is the best thing that you can hear. If you say, oh, Jordan, I want this top position in this location. Okay, well, 25 other people do as well. So your chances might be a little bit more slim. And that's fine if that recruiter is giving you that information that you may not want to hear. It's a little bit harder pill to swallow. But at the same time, I think that's what makes a good recruiter is that transparency. Yes. And then, of course, honesty, trustworthiness, responding to you in a timely manner. Those are things that are important to me. Not important to you, that's fine. But, speed is the name of game in travel nursing. It always has been. So you want somebody that's going to be on top of the game to respond to you in a quick manner. So I think those are probably my top three. But overall, you just
Jordan.
need to find somebody that you can mesh with. You know, you need to have a really good working relationship with them. So you'll get that whenever you're talking to recruiters.
Beautiful, Jordan. And Jordan got a testimonial. When I was not seriously, I do not lie, and I was not kidding when I said if you were to Google great travel nurse recruiters, you would find Jordan, because Jordan has a testimonial right here from AJ and Anita Pruitt. So Pruitts are on.
Yeah.
Jordan is the best. My husband and I have been with him for over 2 years and love him. He is always available and communicates with us weekly. We feel like he has our best interests in mind. So Heather Marie, I hope that helps. I'm going to give in 1 second, I'm going to give Nancy a stab at this. So here's something important when it comes to choosing a recruiter is, do they listen? Are they asking questions? Or are they trying to slam you in a job? Do they know your goals? Right? Are they responding to you in a timely fashion? And we at Travel Nurse, this is what we believe. So we're not for everybody. But text, if all it is this texting back and forth and packet, like seriously, if you're in a crisis, do you just want somebody texting with you? We really believe in that personal connection. So you can really build a rapport, really have someone on your side to listen. You're going to be somewhere where you probably aren't going to know a soul. You're going to be working with people who may not want you there. You may have a patient population that's completely different than what you're used to. You may be dealing with a ton of professional challenge, right? A new kind of unit, new approaches, right? Housing. I mean, you're traveling across the country. It's you and your dog, your boyfriend's at home. Like you need somebody there. That's how we look at it, right? Is that we want to take care of the person. We don't just want to fill a job. Nancy, what would you add for new travelers who are trying to figure out like what do you look for in a recruiter? You want to give us a couple of lines on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Jordan did a phenomenal job. You're going to get news you don't want to hear. And if you don't, then your recruiter isn't being transparent. You know, this isn't unicorns and rainbows, right? It just isn't. The reason why travel nursing exists is because there are hospitals all over the country who have patients who are moms, dads, brothers, sisters, nieces, and nephews that don't have enough people to give them the care that they need. That stinks. I mean, wouldn't it be a beautiful world if we had enough nurses and everything was great? But that's not the case. So you want somebody who's going to be straight from the hip and honest with you. For example, sometimes positions might be posted, and if you dig in, the start date was November 25th. That job ain't there anymore, but it will still be on social media sometimes. So you want your recruiter to say, hey, here's the deal. We'll take a look at it, but this is the start date. This is how long it's been here. We really need to look at other options. Honesty, integrity, transparency. And then the listening piece that Rose was talking about, you know, and this is hard for all of us, myself included, is listening with the intent to understand versus with the intent to speak. So if you have a recruiter and as soon as they ask you a question about what you're interested in an opportunity, and as it's coming out of your mouth, they're jumping in, telling you where you should be going, that's a problem, right? You don't want to end up in a place where you're not ready for it. And if you're a first-time traveler, it has a lot to do with your experience. Yes. How big has the facility been you've been in? What type of acuity has there been? And you want a recruiter that's going to understand that and work hand in hand with the clinical team to make sure when you show up, it is a position that you are qualified for, that you can feel confident in, because it's already hard driving across country, moving into a place you've never seen before, all of those things. So when you walk into that hospital, you want to make sure that that was the right choice for you and the hospital.
Yeah.
It's important.
Indeed. Thank you for that, Nancy. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
So we love educating nurses about travel nursing. So that I love that we got these questions. This is kind of normalcy. How many of you love a little bit of normalcy in these crazy in the last 12 months we've had? So I'm just like grateful to be talking about nursing. We got a question around, this was good, about terms and cancels. So I did want to get in there. Yes. Oh, hi, Sam. Thank you. Happy birthday, late Jordan from Sam May. She loves you.
Yep.
Heather. Oh, Heather Med. Thank you for your question, Heather Med. Talking about seeing lots of contracts are getting canceled. That has not been our experience. We are a top 10 agency. I wouldn't say that our experience as a recruitment leader is that we're seeing tons of terms and cancels. Jill, you want to talk about that?
Sure. I think it's an important thing to address. Many of our facilities really took in a large amount of travel nurses to cover the ERs, for example, where they had patients in the hallways, where they had overflow units, where they just were above and beyond their normal census compared to what they were used to. Hospitals are still at a very full census. That's not going to decrease anytime too soon. While it is in some areas of the United States, it's not in other areas of the United States. There's always going to be hot pockets and hot sections that you can go to as a travel healthcare provider. So far, just to share at TNAA, we follow and track this very closely. The industry as a whole has about a 27 to 30% fall off rate. That is any nurse who doesn't start an assignment. That is any nurse who does not complete her contract. Right now, at our company, we've been tracking around 11 to 13%. We keep it low, but it's because recruitment teams are really placing nurses in these assignments where they know the nurses are more than likely to stay for the 13-week. We talked about flexibility already. The more flexible you are in regards to where you go, the less your odds are of your contract being canceled. The good news is right now it's a lot different than it was this time last year. There are still a lot of jobs out there. There are a lot of places for you to go. If we have had a few low census trickles, we're getting a nice notice for you. We're getting a 30-day notice for you. Sometimes a 2-week, but that's still enough time for your recruiter to get you located somewhere else. So that's the gist of it, but you've got to be real careful, and it's tough to have your contract ended on you. You've got to pick up and move somewhere else, but that's what travel nurses do best. I think we're doing well so far.
Great. Thanks, Jill. Yeah, we are not seeing, in fact, our term and cancel rate year to date is lower now than it was in 2020, right, Jill, when you look at January, February?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're not seeing it. Now, that's not to say there aren't pockets, right? So there's pockets. You know, you may get a wave from Arizona. You may get a wave in a certain hospital in North Carolina or a certain health system in Arizona. But by and large, those are great questions. And those are great questions to be asking your recruiter. What trends are you seeing in terms and cancels? What are the places that I should avoid? How do I prevent myself from being vulnerable, right, to a cancellation? Jill, where do you see specialties? I know we talked about this in some of the questions prior, but where do you think the needs are going to be in this third wave of COVID that we're in, I think?
Yeah, and there's a lot of talk about another wave, so get ready. We just don't know, but I will always say ICU, ICU, ICU. If those of you who were in this industry back in 08, 09, ICU nurses always worked when others weren't working. So I always will say go for ICU. New grads out there listening, anyone thinking about traveling your med surg, you want to switch specialties, I would be an ICU nurse. But outside of that, something that's very interesting is think to back in 2020 when our OR shut down. They stopped doing elective cases. Now some have opened back up, but they've opened back up ever so slightly because the administration is trying to maintain the census. So because the COVID patient census was so high, they couldn't streamline all of their elective surgeries into those hospital beds. I just talked to a surgeon local here in Colorado who is dying for the ORs to open the doors and let him start booking his patients. And so that's one hospital in one state. Imagine that happening countrywide. And so OR nurses, I think, need to get ready. Something that we're also seeing in this industry that I've not really seen before is night shift OR nurses. You guys, they're starting to book ORs for nights. So we're looking for OR nurses to work nights and days. So maybe there won't be as much call. It's going to depend on where you go, but they're looking at 24-hour bookings for OR nurses. And of course, just think about where that trickles. That makes PACU full. PACU is going to be full. And then you look onto your other med surg and those types of units where these patients need to recover. So peri-op all the way for 2021.
You heard it here, folks. Heard it here. Love it. Thank you for that, Jill. Let's see. Thank you, Baron, best in the business. Lisa Celeste, I never thought of it that way. I wish you the best. Peace be with you, Lisa Celeste. I went to school with a girl named Celeste. She was awesome. So I've got a good vibe around people with Celeste. Heather Marie, you are so welcome. So good luck on your travel journey. Awesome. Good luck. Let's talk, Nancy, about rates. So our recruiters are talking to nurses all day long, and we had the first wave of the New York City Hero, Mount Sinai, right, North, like those jobs where it was like serious COVID. Then we saw some ups and downs. What should nurses be expecting when it comes to their pay packages? I know we don't have a crystal ball, but what advice would you give to nurses about what's realistic in terms of pay, and how should they really be looking at their travel career when the rates go down? Because guys, if the COVID patients are down 30, 40%, the rates are going to come down with that. So there's some pros and cons. Nancy, you want to give us your best thinking on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it also goes to what Joe was talking about with cancellations. Because the higher the pay, the higher the risk, right? Hospitals, and we know this, back in 2020, nobody planned for COVID. Nobody did. And having to decide, woo people in to help cost a lot of money. And let me first say, you guys are worth that lot of money for sure. Definitely. If I had my way, it would go on the whole time. But unfortunately, hospitals have budgets, right? So the dollars, like what Jordan's saying, they're still out there. So the, 4,000, and I'm going to be speaking gross, 4,000 for 36 hours, it's there, but it's going to be in Stockton, California, which basically is where Sons of Anarchy was filmed. Yeah. It's going to be in Bakersfield. And those of you who don't know California, great people live there, not a place to visit typically. So it's going to be more random places that are going to have the really high dollars. So and I heard a couple of recruiters say, if you're chasing the dollar, that's fine. That's great. There are opportunities there. You're going to have to be incredibly flexible to float, to go to different hospitals that are within that same system. And, willing to go to these different places. If you're looking for, like what Jordan was talking about, if you're looking for just crisis and you want to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week, that kind of thing, you have to find the company that specializes in that. There's travel. We call it now traditional travel that will touch crisis when needed. And then there's crisis and strike over here. And this is where the, like a couple of staffing companies, 7 days a week for 21 days. Right. These nurses made bank, right? But it's 7 days a week, 21 days.
And you can't compare the quotes, right, Nancy?
No.
Because sometimes that's another thing, right? You get a text, hey, this job is $6,000 a week. Yeah, you find out it's 6 shifts. Right. If you're talking to your current agency, they may not be giving you a quote for 6 shifts, right, Nancy? So it can be completely upside down. Yeah, exactly. Because what you can do, is take what the daily value is, or what the value is, and you add times it by 7 or times it by 4, whatever, and it ends up being the same. So the big dollars weekly doesn't necessarily mean it's that much better than traditional travel. So there are rates out there. It's very different. The higher the rate, the more the risk. And what I mean by that is, yes, it can still happen. People can get canceled on their way to the high dollar assignments. The hospitals have them posted. The time they post them, they have the need. Because no one has a crystal ball, all of a sudden, the cases could go way down, like I've seen, by 25 to even 55% in some states. So the nurse is on their way driving. It's like, hey, we don't need you anymore. Another thing that can happen is you go to a really high dollar position, and midway through your 13-week contract,
the hospital gives you an option of either ending your contract in 30 days or continuing on at a different rate because they no longer need crisis. So these are things you want to
happening in the assignment, right, Nancy, where they'll say, hey, listen, either you can leave or we'd like you to stay, but if you stay, it's going to be less money, right? So that's happening. We're seeing that too. Yep.
So that's happening. So this is what I would say. I mean, I've got 20 years of experience in this industry, and I love, 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 love this industry, which is why I've been in it so long. It's time to sit back for a moment and think about why you were interested in travel to begin with.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if it's dollar driven, that's fine. Go for it. And basically, Jordan, myself, Jill, and Rose, shared what's going to happen because you've got a lot of competition. To where back in June and July and August, there wasn't as much because there were so many needs. So there's a lot of competition. Or you can look at it like you want to get paid well. You either into benefits or you're not. So again, looking at what company offers what. And like the top 3 reasons are, do you want to build your resume? Do you want to go someplace you've never been before? Do you want to get the heck out of the polar vortex? What is it that you're looking for that isn't monetary? Yeah. And then you figure out, okay, what's the range I'm looking for that's going to make me happy and keep me, paying the bills that I need to pay and enjoying myself. That is why travel was created for nurses. And then, of course, the hospitals, they need the help. That is normalizing. And the rates are normalizing every single day.
Beautiful.
Every single day.
Nancy, I love it. See, guys, this is why I said I gotta have Nancy talk about this stuff. She's really good at this. I want you to respond to this in 1 minute, Jordan, the second. Crystal, I want to say thank you so much for this extremely thoughtful and wise comment.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Crystal.
She's
Crystal.
my language. Thank you, Crystal.
Crystal, I'm going to read it because, Crystal, I really just appreciate your contribution to our discussion. I want to honor you. I think people have to be realistic and realize that the money is great as a travel nurse, but there are so many benefits to look outside of pay. I've learned so much at being at different facilities. People need to do some soul searching as to why they want to do this, because as a COVID ICU travel nurse, I can tell you that sometimes those high money contracts can also come with a price. It can be draining physically and mentally, and sometimes you don't have your family with you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate what you're saying, Crystal. And I want to say thank you for all you've done this year, because I can feel it. I can feel your contribution. We're grateful.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, where would you land on this? I know you're talking to nurses all the time. I think this is probably a good place for us to land. This will probably be our last conversation topic. I like to kind of keep these in place. But Jordan, what are your closing thoughts on our conversation today? And you can relate to either the discussion we had around rates and sort of what the rates get you and how things are changing, or how to pick an agency. Dealer's choice.
Perfect. Well, first of all, Crystal really nailed it on the head with that comment. So thank you for that. And I think Nancy really nailed a lot of things on the head as well. But what we have to remember is travel nursing was here prior to COVID, and travel nursing is going to be here after COVID. And while it's been a crazy year, I think we all agree that we would much rather have normal travel rates versus everything that's happened in the past year. And like Nancy said, I wish we could pay every single healthcare professional thousands of dollars a week for what you do. But unfortunately, that's just not going to be the case as we continue to go forward. So there's always going to be a lot of jobs. There's always going to be a lot of need. And we need the travel professionals to do that. But you do have to do some soul searching on what's important to you. If going out and making a good travel nursing rate, pre-COVID times and what we're going back to is not sufficient for you, that's fine. Stay at your home hospital and help out there, because you're needed anywhere and everywhere. But if going out and helping out in a different, way, whether it be, seeing a different part of the country or, just experiencing a different hospital, then we gladly welcome you into the travel nursing world. And we're going to be there, hopefully, once COVID is completely eliminated, and there will still be a lot of great positions. So we appreciate all y'all do, and it's going to be there one way or another. We just got to find out what's important for you.
Thanks, Jordan. Oh, we got some more comments. David. Hey, David Bailey. Hey, brother in travel nursing. Recruiter here. This is the same info I give my nurses. Truly a hassle if you have no idea what the market is or why you want to travel. Good stuff. Great, David. I hope we've inspired you a little bit. Go do the right thing out there. Oh, Angie. Angie Brantley Norris is one of my favorite people. She has taught me so much in the time I've known her. She is my sister. Hello, my lovelies. Please remind people that when chasing the dollars, please be honest with your skill sets. Protect the patients and yourself. Have seen this in the last 2 assignments with newer travelers. Also, be realistic with what you can handle. It's 312s or 412s. I agree with Crystal. This is a new era of nursing and it's taxing, but it's still the best field to be in. I'm going to underline something. I'm going to take out my highlighter and I'm going to highlight Angie's comments. When we're talking about what agencies to work with, sometimes you don't know this. And if your agency isn't doing a thorough review of your resume and really talking to you candidly about what you can do and what you can't do, and they're throwing you into assignments without your experience or without the proper skills checklist or the references, that's your freaking license. Take responsibility and don't put yourself in those situations. That's another thing to look for in an agency, which is this just a deal? Or are these people looking out for your license, looking out for your resume, looking out for the patient care aspect of what it is that we do?
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Let's see who else. Yara. Oh, Yara. I love that name. Oh, what a beautiful name. Yara Alcantara. Oh, God, that gives me chills. That should be like in a novel or a movie.
Yeah.
God, thank your parents for that one. As things change, what are the normal ranges in travel nursing? Yara, we're going to answer that offline. We'll need to know your specialty and your experience for that. I know, Anita. I love him too. Honestly, that's why I love him. I love him too. Thank you, David. Oh, Stanton! Hi, Stanton. Love you too. Miss you, Stanton. I hope everything's going good for you out there in your world. Jill, what are your closing thoughts today?
Oh, I have so many. I think, all in all, a couple of these folks have touched on it greatly. Is just take a break and take care of yourself. If you're out there working in the hospitals, you're working a lot of hours, you're seeing a lot of things that you never dreamt you'd see in your career, is my guess. And we talk to healthcare professionals every day, whether you're a nurse, whether you're a respiratory therapist, whether you're the CNA at the bedside, you're seeing a lot of things that you never thought you would see. So take care of yourself, take a lot of breaks in between your contracts. We've always pushed for that at our company. We're not going to make you take another contract the day yours ends. Please take 2 weeks off. Please take 3 weeks off to take care of yourself. And, I agree with some of the previous comments. I don't regret becoming a nurse ever, and I've been a nurse for over 20 some years, and God, I'm getting pushing up there towards the 30-year mark, but it is a great industry to be in. It throws a lot of challenges to us, but the amazing thing about nursing is that there are so many different opportunities that you can invest yourself in. So that's my closing comments.
Love it. Thank you, Jill.
Cool.
Nancy, you want to take a minute or so? I don't want to give you a couple, Nancy. You know me, I'm a tyrant when it comes to time. What are your closing thoughts?
Hold on, I'm watching my watch. My closing comments are this. To Jill's point, you all have been on the front line, the first responders, and that is the toughest place to be. So we, as soon as COVID started, every week we got together and we prayed for our nurses. We, constantly kept nurses and the people on the front lines and everyone involved in our hearts and in our prayers, because we could not do what you do. I couldn't do what Jill does. And we have the utmost respect for what you do. For travel, do it, go where your heart takes you. This is the advice I'm going to give you, because this is something someone told me years ago, and then this is going to be my closing thing. When you are sitting in your little rocking chair, maybe with grandbabies, years and years from now, when you are retired, you're not going to talk about your paycheck. You're going to talk about your experiences in life. Something to think about.
Beautiful. Beautiful. She rises. As all of you have today. Jordan, thank you for rising to the occasion. Jill, thank you for rising to the occasion. Nancy, thank you for rising to the occasion. Hey, Ashley Hazen. Mwah. Oh my God. Ashley, that freaking donut thing for Jules for his birthday. Oh my gosh. Ashley has two beautiful little kids, and it was like her little boy's birthday, and there was like this pile of donuts, and his face, I couldn't even get over it. It made my day. So thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Chloe.
Oh, Chloe Chapman. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Rachel,
Yeah.
back to you. Back to you, Rachel.
Well, there's this, like, I wish I could just share this video with everybody in the group because you've covered so much stuff. Just like everything that I see daily, everyone's always asking. I think a lot of people are going to be excited about the vaccine, the newer one, like Jill was saying. I think you said it was only one time, so that's going to solve a lot of problems between, like, going from one assignment to the next assignment. So I think a lot of great things are coming in 2021. So I'm glad that you guys have a handle on it. And we look forward to have you guys on more. And yeah, so thank you.
And Rachel, we've got a question around where this video is going to be posted. So if people want to like share this or watch it again, or somebody arrived late, I think Yara arrived late, how can they do that? Can you give us that?
Yeah, we have it on, it's going to stay here on Facebook, but we also have it on the gypsynurse.com, which we're going to turn it into an article as well. So it's going to be easy to find. We're going to share it this weekend and everything, so that way everybody can rewatch it. And we're just going to share it everywhere. So you guys can all, watch it and still ask questions. If you have any questions, message the fan page on Travel Nurse Across America, or, go to their website or do anything like that. They're all super responsive.
Beautiful. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you guys for coming on.
So we're calling it, right? We're calling this one?
Yep.
Another one in the books, Jill. We got another